Now it's time to look at Blizzard's favourite angel, Tyrael, the Archangel of Justice. He's pretty badass, a leader among the high heavens, resurrected himself for no reason, and he has a serious fetish for his own sword. Since pretty much forever, Tyrael fought against the demons in the Eternal Conflict, a war over something called the World Stone that had the power to change reality. His deeds on the battlefield were legendary, and when he wasn't fighting, he was overseeing the courts of justice. In the high heavens, Tyrael was a member of the Angiris Council, the governing body of angels led by Malthael. Aside from those two, the council also included Imperius, Auriel, and Ethereal. Throughout the conflict, Tyrael commanded many angels. Two of these were Isual, who was captured by the forces of Hell, and Inarius, who grew tired of the war. Inarius tried to convince Tyrael that the struggle was pointless, but Tyrael was too blinded by honor and glory to see his point of view. I'm about to go off on a little tangent, but trust me, it's kind of important. Inarius then went off on his own, shacked up with the demon lady, and together they gathered other angels and demons who wanted to escape. They somehow stole the whole damn World Stone and moved it into another dimension, where they used its power to create a world called Sanctuary. The angels and demons populated this new world with their children, half angel, half demons called the Nephilim. Hell was the first to learn about Sanctuary, and tried to subtly influence the mortal realm to bring humanity under their control. Inarius found out, and after a long time of passive-aggressive warfare, the Nephilim took over and defeated them both. This was when Heaven learned of Sanctuary and moved in to fight the demons and destroy the Nephilim, who they saw as abominations. Among those who came to fight was Tyrael, although both Heaven and Hell were defeated again. A Nephilim named Aldysian sacrificed himself in order to drive back both Heaven and Hell, and his selflessness swayed Tyrael. Having been cast out, the Angiris Council convened to vote on whether humanity would be allowed to live or would be destroyed. Tyrael ended up being the deciding vote that saved humanity. Following this decision, the Council made a pact with Mephisto, the Lord of Hatred, that neither Heaven or Hell would interfere with Sanctuary. In a convenient twist of events, the three prime evils, Diablo, Mephisto, and Baal, were exiled into Sanctuary. The demons wreaked havoc on the mortal realm for decades before being discovered by Tyrael. Due to his fear of Heaven deciding to destroy Sanctuary, he kept the demons' presence a secret and decided to help alone. Tyrael formed the Horadrim to hunt the demons and capture their souls within stones made from the World Stone. Mephisto and Baal were both trapped, although a mage named Talrasha had to sacrifice himself to capture Baal. He was left in a tomb to fight Baal's soul forever. The Horadrim eventually captured Diablo. They hid his soul within a labyrinth and built a monastery over the top. What Tyrael didn't know was how over the next few years the demons would influence mortals from within the Soul Stones. Diablo escaped and set out to free his brothers too. Tyrael confronted Diablo in Talrasha's tomb, where the demon was about to free Baal. However, Baal was freed and the two demons overpowered Tyrael and trapped him in the tomb. Tyrael was freed soon afterwards by a group of heroes who were following Diablo. He recruited them to stop Diablo and Baal from releasing Mephisto, and having been weakened, took off. Tyrael met up with the heroes again in the Pandemonium Fortress, where he asked them to kill his old lieutenant Isual to free his soul after he was corrupted by Hell. At Tyrael's behest, the heroes continued on to kill Diablo himself and destroyed both soul stones at the Hellforge. He then transported them to the barbarian city Harrogath, where Baal was marching on Mount Ariat and the World Stone. Naturally, the heroes managed to kill Baal, but he had already corrupted the World Stone. Tyrael had no choice but to destroy the World Stone itself to prevent Hell from using its power to control Sanctuary. He threw his trusty sword into the World Stone and it broke apart with a giant explosion. Tyrael died in the explosion and the surrounding lands were all but destroyed. That wasn't the end for Tyrael, as he was resurrected for reasons, and all the other angels were just as confused as we are. A while after, the lesser evils Belial and Azmodan invaded Sanctuary, and Tyrael felt that he had to help again. Imperius refused, however, causing a fight between the two. Tyrael was sick of all the nonsense and tore off his own wings to become immortal. He was then free to help, because he was free from the constraints of being an angel. Tyrael came crashing down to Sanctuary, and everyone thought he was a falling star. Conveniently, he was rescued by another group of heroes, and as tropes go, he'd lost his memory. Tyrael was able to regain his memory when the group of heroes recovered the broken pieces of his sword. But sadly, his longtime friend Deckard Cain, who has been surprisingly absent from this video, was killed. Tyrael and Cain's adopted niece Leah held a funeral before the group left to stop Belial. The group went to Chaldean, a city in the desert consistent with Act 2's, and found Leah's mother Adria. The witch gave them the Black Soul Stone and claimed it would be able to contain all the Lords of Hell. Tyrael helped rescue the people of Chaldean, then sat back while the heroes killed Belial and captured his soul. Following this, Leah had a vision of Azmodan's army attacking from Mount Ariyat where the World Stone once was. Tyrael was able to pull her out of the vision though, which was weird. Then they all went to Bastion's Keep, where Tyrael led the defense against the demon army. The heroes drove the army back into Ariyat Crater with Tyrael's help, killed Azmodan and captured his soul. Once the Black Soul Stone was filled with the prime and lesser evils, Tyrael and the other heroes were blindsided by Adria's sudden but inevitable betrayal. She used the Soul Stone to release Diablo into Leah, who invaded the high heavens. Tyrael and the others followed, but Diablo had already begun to spread corruption through his home. It didn't take long for Tyrael to feel disheartened, but his Nephilim friends kept going, which inspired him and he kept fighting. They were confronted again by Isuel, who mocked Tyrael before being killed yet again. The group followed all the way up to the Crystal Arch, where the Nephilim defeated Diablo himself. After the victory against Diablo, Tyrael rejoined the Angiris Council as a mortal. Only this time he was the aspect of wisdom, and he declared an alliance between heaven and sanctuary. Soon, Tyrael began to feel out of place in his home and missed his life as an archangel. Tyrael eventually fell into his role, only to notice a lasting corruption within the high heavens caused by the Black Soul Stone. Tyrael brought his concerns to the council, who couldn't decide what to do with the stone. He came to see how the stone was affecting the other angels, but was ignored when he tried to warn them. Imperius' dislike of Tyrael grew, and he felt that Tyrael couldn't live up to Malthael's legacy as a mortal. Imperius also demanded a revote on the whole destroying humanity thing. The vote was stopped, however, because of the Black Soul Stone. Tyrael felt that the only way was to hide the stone in Sanctuary. However, the other angels disagreed and ignored his logic. Tyrael then stormed off. After thinking for a while, Tyrael decided to reform the Horodrim and steal the stone from heaven. He escaped back to Sanctuary and gathered a small group of humans to help him. They succeeded in stealing the stone, but Tyrael was called to the council. Without the stone, Auriel and Itheriel saw his view and wanted him reinstated as wisdom. Imperius wanted him to stand trial for his actions. Tyrael instead chose to leave. He had picked a place to hide the stone, a series of catacombs under Westmarch. Tyrael and the Horodrim placed the Soul Stone within the catacombs, but were confronted by Malthael, who had returned as the Angel of Death. Tyrael sent one of the Horodrim to find the Nephilim, while he tried to fight off his former brother. Tyrael's sword passed straight through Malthael, who played with his soul for a moment before throwing him away. Malthael then took the stone and left. Tyrael waited for the Nephilim in Westmarch while Malthael attacked the city. With the Lords of Hell dead, Malthael decided to end the eternal conflict by destroying humanity, who were half demon. Tyrael learned through a shard of the Black Soulstone that Malthael was in Pandemonium. They had to pass through the heavens to follow, but were confronted by Imperius. In a strange turn of events, Imperius took their side and agreed that Malthael had to be stopped. He even went so far as to help the Nephilim reach the Pandemonium fortress. Tyrael rejoined the Nephilim at the fortress and helped them breach the gates. He was unable to help them fight Malthael, however, and sat back again as the hero did the dirty work. Tyrael then wondered ominously if the Nephilim would be able to resist the corruption of power or doom everything. Then Tyrael left to go to the Nexus, where he was conveniently an Archangel again. Look, it makes sense, okay?